Kevin Khan here for Seconds Out with the one and only great mind for boxing, Russ Anber in Manchester. Russ, great to see you. It's been a while since I've been able to speak to you in person. How's life treating you?
Everything good, Eamon. Thank you very much, man. I'm glad. I always like talking to you, man. It's very good. Very nice.
Well, absolutely feel the same way. And let's get straight into the talk of the main event this weekend. Derek Chisora sees his 49th and not final fight, but final in the UK, we believe, against Artur Wallen. Just seeing Derek Chisora in his career, what would you say is the legacy that he's built up amongst the British and world fans?
Well, the one thing that I wanted to make mention when you guys were interviewing him, I think this should be an example to all fighters coming up. I don't think there's a fighter on the planet right now who has 13 losses on his record and is a relevant main event. And I think that's something that fighters should take into consideration when they're worried about fighting certain guys. It's not about winning or losing. It's about how you perform. And it seems that fighters today are more interested in having a bad win instead of a great loss, which I know sounds a little crazy, but Derek is relevant and still in the game and still top of the bill and in a main event because of the way he fights, not because of what his record is. Win or lose, he comes to fight. And I think, and he's determined to try to win. And I think people see that in him. And that's why he's become such a crowd favorite, and maybe arguably, maybe one of the best fighters to never win a piece of the heavyweight title. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, he's definitely up there when it comes to the consideration of fighters who maybe could have won a world title in their career. What about the challenges that Artur Wallen poses to him? He said he had a little word with you during the huddle that we did. He said another southpaw. Yeah. Is that one of Derek's real thorns in his side, the southpaw style?
Well, I think, a southpaw is always going to be a thorn to everybody. Southpaws have a decided advantage. I always wondered why a southpaw switches to right-hander. Even Hagler, as great as he was. And, I talked to Leonard about this, and Leonard wondered why he switched to orthodox for the first 3 rounds of the fight and basically gave away those rounds, because a right-hander can switch to southpaw, but a southpaw switching to orthodox just doesn't make sense. And they're always going to be difficult. It's such a physical advantage for them, a technical advantage for them. The fact that Wallen is tall, and boxes well, has a good technical base, that's going to be a problem for anybody he fights. And I think he's proven that. I think we saw that even with Fury. So it's a difficult fight. But once again, Chisora is not shying away from the danger of the fight or the potential difficulty that it could be. He's ready to take on all comers.
Do you share Derek's feelings about, look, you made some comments about the social political climate of Africa and the potential of hosting a fight in Africa, but I guess the idea is better than the execution of the idea right now with the climate, but is a 15-0 swan song in Africa the perfect way for Derek to bow out?
I don't know what the perfect way to bow out is. It's always, he was right about something. It's sad about a bow out, even this, not being the bow out. It's the last one he's doing in the UK. And, that's a little sad in and of itself. I don't know, you have to worry about the political climate. You also have to worry about the money, what can be raised. I think he raised some valid points as to how difficult it could be to do something like that. And yet, we see, and you're witness to this, when the fights are held in Saudi, no one's worried about anything. Like, you're not worried about your accommodation, transport, food, nothing, And I think that's a great way for the professional athletes to feel, especially as how great as they are in the quality of the fights that are being held there, that they can go into a fight feeling that comfortable. And I think that's important.
Okay, moving on to some fights that you hold interest in. First of all, on the Beterbiev versus Bivol undercard sees Callum Smith take on Joshua Buatsi. I hear a lot of discussion about this fight in the UK, and a lot of people may be writing off Callum way too quickly in this fight. What's your feel on that fight?
I don't like when people write fighters off. For what? For a loss to Beterbiev, you're going to write him off? Listen, he's had a great career, world champion, Muhammad Ali trophy winner. What I'm actually sad about is that this card, and everybody talked to me about, wow, what a great card this is. It's actually 7 great cards that are being wasted on one. And we could have had 7 amazing fight nights, because every one of those fights is worthy of its own main event, which would have opened up doors to so many other fighters being on that undercard. Instead, we've deprived those fighters of that opportunity. And now you're going to have Callum and Buatsi in a great, UK showdown, a great UK show, which we haven't had. And Callum's been looking for that great UK showdown for years now, and we haven't had that. And I think we missed that opportunity to have that here in the UK. I think it would have been a great fight. But I think it's going to be a great fight, and I hope the people there are going to be in there early enough to watch it, not just wait for Beterbiev and Bivol.
That's the other fight of real interest on that. Of course, there are others, but for yourself, Beterbiev-Bivol, the rematch, do you expect much different from Dmitry Bivol the second time round?
Difficult to say. I'm not sure how much more he can improve on his performance. I think he boxed an excellent fight. I'm not sure what alternatives he can come up with, but I do believe that Beterbiev can improve on his last performance. I don't think we saw Beterbiev at his best. I think he had surgery on the knee. He wasn't coming back, wasn't as forceful as he usually is. He seemed to be a lot more conservative. I personally gave him the edge at the end of the fight. I thought he closed out the last 3 rounds quite solid. I thought he showed that he was able to hurt Bivol. I think he can improve on his performance. Bivol's going to have to come up with something. He's going to have to pull something out of the hat to come up with a better performance than overtake whatever Beterbiev brings to the table. So, but at least it's a great fight. At least the rematch is made, and that's great for boxing.
From Dimitri's perspective, he felt that he let the championship rounds go. Is it as simple as that from Bivol, from what you saw, that if he was going to do something different, he's going to keep his game as high as he could for the preceding rounds? Yeah,
he's going to try to do that. But that's why I say that he fought a great fight. Beterbiev did not. And I think Beterbiev can improve even more. So he's going to have to, Bivol's going to have to even improve even more with the championship rounds that you say he let get away, which he did. The last 3 rounds cost him. But Beterbiev might not be that far behind like he was, or behind, it might not be that close going into those late rounds if Beterbiev is able to improve, I think, more on what he did in the first fight. I think he can be a little bit more imposing.
Amongst the team, yourself, Scully and Ramsey, what's the brief as to the future of Artur Beterbiev? Because a lot of boxing fans are trying to pitch Beterbiev and Alexander Usyk, either be it a cruiserweight or any sort of form of fight, really. But is that something that's in contention or in play from your guys' perspective?
I mean, I've got to tell you that I'm not with Beterbiev anymore. Okay. After I made the decision to not work either corner when he fought Callum, Beterbiev's team figured they didn't need me back anymore. So they took a position to not have me back. So, Callum understood, and I'm back with him, but I don't work with Beterbiev anymore. So I don't have any insight to give you on that, whether that's, I'm sure they're just thinking right now about Bivol. At least that's what I would be saying to you if I was there. We're just concentrating on Bivol, but I don't know. I can't tell you. For Usyk, I would never recommend for Usyk to go back down in weight, and I think history has shown us enough that when you put on weight properly and you move up in a category, you can never come back. And I don't think there has been, I'd like to see any, I could be wrong, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any fighter who moved up in weight, had great success, came back down and had the same success. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
From your time with Beterbiev, do you feel he has the frame to contend at the highest level at cruiserweight?
I think he could be dangerous at cruiserweight. I think he can because let's say even if he didn't weigh at the peak of the cruiserweight limit, let's say he just put on 10 pounds and weighed 185 or 190, which he'd still be strong. He'd still be plenty skillful and plenty strong enough to contend with cruiserweight. So I think he could.
The other one of interest for yourself is Alexander Usyk. We don't know what the lay of the land is for him right now, but we believe he's going to be returning to the ring. Is there someone that you'd want to see him compete against? Daniel Dubois, someone who, I guess, stole a little bit of limelight off of the back of a victory over Tyson Fury the second time around, but Dubois put himself in contention. But what would you like to see for Alexander?
I don't know. This is really a very difficult situation because now Usyk is in a situation where he has absolutely nothing to gain by fighting anybody and everything to lose, and his entire legacy, everything he's accomplished, what he's done, is all on the line against all these young up-and-comers who are willing to take whatever chance they can, collect a great payday, and maybe capitalize on a huge win. And in the heavyweight division, I look at anything in boxing, you're one punch away from a disaster, right? So it's very difficult to say Dubois has had a great run, good win over Anthony. But whenever I hear about the rematch, to me, there hasn't been claim for a rematch to be necessary other than the wins he's had. But he's had some good wins now. So in fairness, he's working himself back into that situation. Maybe Usyk's dream is to become not undisputed once, but undisputed twice.
Do you see anyone being able to at heavyweight compete at a high level and give Alexander Usyk another tough fight like the way Tyson Fury did? Do you see other competitors in the field, or would it be a case of age being something that defeats Usyk as opposed to the opponent? Well,
that's two different things. Defeat or give a tough fight. Everybody's going to be a tough fight. Derek Chisora was a tough fight. All the fights in the heavyweight that Usyk has had have been tough fights. Whether they've been grueling physically, mentally, they've been tough fights. And Usyk has prevailed. Do I see anybody on the horizon now that could beat him? No, I don't know that there's anybody good, but certainly guys that are going to give him a tough fight. And eventually, the young bucks are going to start to rise and get more confidence and more experience, and they're going to become more and more dangerous. And in the meantime, Usyk's going to be aging at that time while they're getting better. So that's never a good combination, right? But I mean, there's tough fights, but right now I don't see anybody that's going to beat Usyk.
In the fallout from that rematch, Tyson Fury made the choice to retire. British boxing fans and maybe world boxing fans, if I can speak for them a small bit here, maybe don't quite believe that will be the case. Do you believe that Tyson Fury will return to the ring and maybe take on Anthony Joshua?
I don't know. I guess it's going to depend on Joshua, isn't it? But I'm with you. I don't believe it because, he was in a competitive fight. I don't think he has a reason to retire after that. So no, I don't believe that. And I think it's all becomes a question of money as well. Like, he's not going to take fights that are irrelevant. He's not going to try to have to work his way back into the picture. He's already a name. He's arguably the second best out there. I think there's plenty of fights. He puts a lot on the line as well, and he sells tickets. So it's going to be the right opponent for Tyson Fury. Martin Bakole could be an interesting fight for him as well.
Anthony Joshua is mooted to be taking on Martin Bakole. Martin Bakole says that there's a fight on the horizon for him in Africa potentially. Do you feel that for Joshua coming off of the defeat to Daniel Dubois at Wembley, it's the right move for him to go and face Martin Bakole is on the rise as well?
Difficult to answer that question because as much as I know Anthony, I don't know Anthony. I don't know what his mindset is like. He's always shown that he can bounce back from defeat. I don't know what his mindset is like, but I don't care who you are, Martin Bakole's a dangerous fight. You could be better, you could win, but he's a dangerous fight. And he, like they say, he brings it. You know what I mean? So that's a dangerous fight. If Anthony is clear-headed, confident, knows what mistakes he made against Dubois, it catapults him right back into it. A win over a nobody is not going to really mean anything. It has to be over a somebody. Martin Bakole could be that somebody. Boom, he catapults himself right back into a heavyweight title fight or the Fury fight or a rematch with Dubois. But he's certainly taking on tough opposition. He's not cherry-picking this one.
Yeah, the man to beat him was Daniel Dubois, and he's in against Joe Parker. What's your read on that fight? Do you feel that Joe Parker's in tough as well there?
Of course he's in tough, but so is Dubois. Joseph Parker is, I think, a little bit of a bogeyman in the division. They call Bakole a bogeyman, but I think Joseph Parker can fight. Joseph Parker is a dangerous guy. He's well trained. He has skills. He has experience. His whole career is coming together. He's looked just outstanding in recent times. He's had great wins. I think the Wilder win, when everybody wasn't so sure that he was going to win, proved to be massive. I think it showed just how good he is. And I'm not sure that Dubois is out of the woods yet. It's a dangerous fight. It's a difficult fight. It's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, I don't think, for either guy.
Just to close out with a couple of final things. There's the rumors and whispers that Vladimir Klitschko is going to return to the ring this year. Do you feel that Vladimir can compete at a high level if he is to return? I think he's near 50 now, isn't he?
I don't know. I think we might be thinking that it's got to be easier than fighting a war. You know, I think that probably, you know, is testimony to his mental fortitude as well. Yeah, coming back like that is something. That's a huge claim. I mean, only time will tell. And maybe the mind wants to do it because you believe you can, and then when you get in the gym, you realize you're that split second late, and that split second late means you're getting hit with shots you never would get hit with before. And maybe that makes him change his mind. I don't know, but it's very rare that you're going to see somebody like that come back and perform, especially instantaneously right off the bat. Look how long it took Foreman. Foreman ran off like 25 fights on his comeback. He started as if he was a raw novice again, and he had debilitating power. So it's going to be interesting to see what Vladimir's going to do, you know. But at least he carries the credentials and you know, the skill level, and we'll see what he's got left.
The Ring have reported that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are, I believe, agreed to a fight later on in the year. I believe it's in September in Las Vegas. Look, two elite level fighters, but I just wonder if the weight's going to be the holdout factor that's going to see Canelo Alvarez over the line against Terence Crawford. Can Terence Crawford's IQ and skill set overcome that weight advantage maybe for Canelo?
It'll have to. It'll have to. Otherwise, weight classes don't mean a difference. Don't mean a thing anymore, and we know that they do. When it was first announced, I thought, this can't be. You can't talk about it, you know, welterweight going up and fighting a super middleweight. But when you go back and think of guys like, you know, Sugar Ray Robinson moving up to light heavyweight, you know, to fight from middleweight to light heavyweight to fight Joey Maxim, and, you know, ahead on points before the heat got him. And if the heat didn't get him, if he didn't collapse from exhaustion in that you know, sweltering heat in New York, he'd have become light heavyweight champion of the world as well. So skills are so important, and Canelo's got those as well. You know, the speed is going to be a different light for him. So providing Crawford doesn't let the weight become a factor in the fight. And small guys can do this. They can get away with doing this, fighting big guys like Leonard did when he moved up, like Roy Jones did when he moved up. They can move up in weight, and they're so skillful and so much speed in their hands and in their feet that weight doesn't become an issue. It becomes a skill set and a stamina set. You've got to be able to hold off the bigger guy because that takes a little more work, but you're able to do that, and skill prevails at the end. So Crawford, in order for him to win and do that, is going to have to be able to make weight not a factor in the fight, use his skills, surprise Canelo with the speed, and Canelo's going to have to try to walk through and not be worried about a welterweight type power, which Crawford does have, you know, and see what he's going to walk through. But if Canelo gets frustrated the way he did against Bivol, that could be problematic.
Last thing, I was half expecting a magic trick to be prepared and executed in the ring. Did you not bring your kit with you this time around?
I have everything with me, you know, but I didn't have to do it. They didn't ask me to, so I didn't get to perform. I did listen to this. Yesterday, after the workout with Chisora taped his hand, I did a magic trick for him. And I'm not sure if he liked it or not, but all he did after I did it was give me the finger and walk away. So he did this and walked away. So it must have been good.
I'm sure it was, and this conversation was good. Russ, thanks for being Seconds Out, sir.
Good stuff.